I think there is great value in instilling virtues in a curriculum, and especially the curriculum here at Naples Classical Academy. And I think it can be summed up in a quote from Brave New World, where a character, John, says, "It is not enough that the phrases are good. What you do with them has to be good as well." I think having a virtue-centered curriculum like ours really does teach students how to live a truly good life.
The historian Arnold Toynbee once said, "We're never more than a generation away from barbarism." Even all the way back to the very beginning of the liberal arts, when Plato was writing the Republic, he draws a link between the importance of the civilization of any society and the education. I think it's important, and sometimes very much lost on the modern world, that the real foundation of the liberal arts education is not just the pursuit of intellectual virtue, but also moral virtue. And the moral virtue is equally as important as the intellectual virtue. Pursuing moral virtue is particularly in our mission statement, where we say at the end, students will be prepared to receive and go out into the civic sphere, into the public, and bring that virtue with them, that desire to give of themselves for the good of other people, right? Virtue is never just for us. It's not just a thing that I do for me that makes me feel good. It enhances our own lives, but it's always ordered to the good of the community as well. So there's an individual element, but also a social element to the pursuit of virtue. And that's why it's so important for us to recover that as a community. Ben Franklin said that only a virtuous people are capable of freedom, right? And so even in the founders, you find this idea that freedom is not doing what I want to, when I want to whom I want to, without consequence. Rather, the true freedom is bound up in man discovering who he is and who he's meant to be, and who he's meant to be not as an individual alone, but in a social setting.
Well, the classical sense of teaching, as we do here at Naples Classical Academy, is a liberal education, which means an education well suited to those who know and understand that they are a free person. And it enables them to be able to function as a free citizen. And that's what we're trying to do. We want virtuous citizens. We want citizens that know what it means to self-govern. We want to train scholars to be able to understand why they're free, and especially what it takes to defend freedom. And so it's our mission to help produce virtuous citizens, whole people who understand what they are as a human being. They're not just a machine, not to just be manipulated by every wind of doctrine that comes by. So an education suited for people who know and understand that they're free. That's what we do here at Naples Classical Academy.
What we hope that our scholars at Naples Classical Academy will gain from the education here is a fullness to life and a joy that is found through finding truth and loving truth and searching for truth. The search for truth is a lifelong journey, and it never ends. And if you don't love it, and if no one instills a love of learning in you, then life becomes quite bland. And so teaching them to have a fullness of soul so that they can live fully and think abstractly and be joyful.
Here at Naples Classical Academy, our mission is to train the minds and improve the hearts of young people through a classical education. What does it mean to improve the hearts? Well, within our mission, we have our virtues: courage, honesty, responsibility, self-government. Those are words that we say, but how do we know, how do you live out a virtue? So when I'm with my young scholars, I tell them to imagine they're an archer and they want to hit the bullseye. Hitting the bullseye is virtue. is being virtuous. It's doing the thing the way it's supposed to be done correctly. Vice is doing something wrong, missing the mark. With that sport connotation to it, with young scholars, gives them an idea that virtue isn't something that's going to happen overnight. It takes time to develop that skill, to hit the mark. It is not easy, but it definitely is worth doing. It is worth striving for.
The virtues, the pillars of virtues, we talk about them in the beginning of the school. We talk about it through everything we read. Do you think this character have honesty? Do you think this character has perseverance? We don't have to deal with discipline issues as much because they know what is already the right thing to do. We don't have to be repeating, don't do this, don't do that. It just comes natural to them to know that they have to behave in a certain way. They know right or wrong. And if they don't, I have students that come to me and said, Ms. Rocha, I did this, I did that. I don't have to be the private investigator or telling them why you did that. They held accountable themselves. And this is because of the pillars of virtue that we develop each and every day in Naples Classical Academy.
Only good people can be happy. We believe that in Naples Classical Academy. So that's what we're trying to do with our education, is we're demonstrating virtue as teachers. We're reading about virtue in our literature, and we're learning things which are conducive to virtue and to understanding the truth. And when we do this, we're helping our students to form habits which will allow them to be happy.